So we launched projects in QuickBooks Online a little over a year ago to help small businesses organize their finances by job. And our mission was, helping them create projects so that they can organize, the income and expenses within projects, and then to be able to track time against this project. So they could do that, with QuickBooks Online. We have single time activity and weekly timesheets, or customers could also use, T-sheets, which is a part of the QuickBooks family now. And using T-sheets, you can also bring in your timesheet data into projects. And then what we had launched last year also allowed you to run quick reports to understand the project's profitability or the unbilled time on the project and so on. But one of the biggest pieces of feedback we heard from all of you was the fact that the profitability, and I've highlighted this one here, was actually not complete picture of somebody's job's profitability. That profit margin was lacking, and the reason it was lacking was because we did not have support to include labor costs or time costs. The biggest piece of expense on any professional or field service business is actually the time that their team is spending on the job, and were not factoring that in. So we have been hard at work with our partners inside T-sheets and payroll, QuickBooks Payroll, to make sure we are plugging in that gap. And we have really appreciated your patience all this while waiting for the arrival of job costing. So I wanted to first of all give you a big round of thanks for waiting. But if you haven't turned on projects yet, and if you're hearing about this feature for the very first time, here is where you can go in product and turn it on. So if you go in QuickBooks Online and go in Accounts and Settings, go under Advanced, there's a section called Projects, and if you click there, you can turn it on, and it helps you turn on projects, and it starts showing up in the left navigation menu. So let me begin by a round of thanks and gratitude to all our accountant partners and the Pro Advisor community. And the reason is you've been patiently waiting for job costing. And second is you've dealt with so many creative workarounds like class tracking, like sub-customers, and they all have their pros and cons. But we want to tell you we are heavily invested in projects. So if the content that we show you today is going to get you fired up, this might be the time to start moving to projects, start exploring it. What I'm showing you today is a sneak peek of what's arriving in early 2019. I'm not saying if you go and turn on projects today, you're going to get this experience, because we are still to launch it, but it's going to start rolling out in early 2019. So let's buckle up, let's get ready. So labor costs, like I said, are the biggest pieces which were missing inside projects. We had everything else. You could create a project, you could track the income and expenses, and you could track time. These are existing capabilities that existed within projects. Here is what we are adding now. So if you are only using QuickBooks Online, you will be able to use employee hourly cost rates to help understand your team's time costs. So you don't need to necessarily have payroll with QuickBooks to enjoy the benefit of job costing or see the profitability of your project. But if you have QuickBooks Online and you're using payroll with us, it could be enhanced or full service payroll, then we will bring in that payroll data, break down the payroll wages and taxes by project so you can see them within the project. So again, there are two flavors of this solution. If you do not have payroll, it still works. And if you have payroll, we bring in those payroll costs. And in a little bit, I'm going to show you what the difference there really is. Again, you can track time with QuickBooks Online. You can also use T-sheets by QuickBooks to track time. Again, you don't necessarily have to use T-sheets to start enjoying project profitability. So the way we are solving this need is, first of all, through our timesheets. And one of the biggest improvements we are making to the timesheet experience within QuickBooks is adding pay items on timesheets. So if you see this timesheet, the weekly timesheet, it now has a list of pay items. So from here, you will be able to select whether this time that I'm spending on Amy's bird sanctuary and doing design for this is regular, overtime, or vacation for Candace, my employee. And I can indicate this on either the single or the weekly timesheet. And when I do that, this data goes into QuickBooks Online. It is tagged to the project. Now it could be a different project like Sweet 16 celebration, and now this time is billable. You can indicate whether this time is billable or non-billable. That's an existing feature in QuickBooks. But what we are allowing people to do now is to actually tell us what is the cost of this time, right? And if you're using payroll with us, then pay items will be brought onto the weekly timesheets, and now you'll be able to see the payroll cost, right? Was this regular pay? Was this overtime? Was this vacation? And so on. So that is a key piece, connecting QuickBooks Online to QuickBooks Payroll so that you can see your labor costs. And the second piece that I wanted to show is, here is the sequence in which you can enjoy, analyzing your project. So once you've entered in the time for your team or your employees, you can go ahead and run payroll. There isn't a change to the experience inside payroll. Payroll will get all the data from QuickBooks Online timesheets, and you can go ahead, punch in those aggregate hours, and then run payroll just like you were doing yesterday. There's no change to the payroll experience. But after you run payroll, when you come back to a project, you will be able to see the payroll costs broken down by project. And that is what is really project profitability, or seeing your job costs within the project. So there's no experience change within payroll, and that is what I wanted to highlight here. Now, the way we are going to break down the payroll cost by project is this overview tab. That is a recent addition to projects. So again, these are things that I'm showing to you which are arriving in early 2019. They're not there yet, but there's a lot of goodness which is coming. So if you see this experience, it has income minus cost equal to profitability, and it makes it really, really clear where your costs are going or how much income is coming to your project. Again, the profit margin is indicated clearly, and then when you see here under costs, payroll costs are called out separately. So now you can see how your payroll wages or your employer taxes are breaking down to this project. And that is really the meat of the feature here. The second thing which I wanted to mention was, how is it going to work if you're not using payroll? So to solve that, our team took on that challenge, and we approached that with hourly cost rates. So we've implemented a way for customers to indicate to us how much their employees cost on an hourly basis. So I'm showing this screenshot to you here. If you see this drawer, we've allowed people to enter what is the hourly cost rate by employee, right? And so you can see, even for the benefit of making things really explicit and easy for customers, we've broken out the key components of what can make up an hourly employee cost. It can be wages, it can be employer taxes, which includes the Social Security and the Medicare contributions. Again, there are SUTA and FUTA, which are additional employer taxes. There could be workers' comp. There could be anything else under the sun, that you want to put as overhead per hour. So really, it goes a little bit beyond payroll, in the sense that if you think your employee costs you more than what you think payroll, what you pay them in payroll per month, you can include that cost here. So this gives you that capability. And that's how, if you're not using QuickBooks Payroll, you can still get the benefit of job costing. Again, the next screenshot is just showing you, once I've saved all the employee costs here, I can save and see all my employees and their cost rates. And then the overview tab will again explain the project's overall profitability. If you're not using payroll, we're going to call this hourly time costs. And that's a way for you to understand, okay, I had entered in hourly cost rates for these employees. And then now that there are timesheets that I've entered for Isla, she entered in like 10 hours of work. I know her cost rate is 65.21. Multiply that with 10 hours, so it's around $652 of cost coming from the time that Ayla is spending. Now, there isn't really money movement happening here because, we just asked you for a cost rate and you entered it. So it's not really a posting transaction, but that was one of the biggest pieces of feedback that we got from our users when we were testing it with them. They said, hey, I don't care if it's a posting transaction or not. If it's a time cost on my project, I need to see it. So that's why it's available here. Again, we are also making some other improvements to projects to help users know how their projects are doing at any point of time. And so there's an upgraded all projects page, and that's showing all the profit margins in a very visual way. So users at any point of time, they know how they are doing. There are also some new reports to help you understand the time spent by the team on the job. So on this one, there's a new time cost report which we are adding to projects, and this time cost report is going to detail out all the time activities and the approximate costs coming from those cost rates, so you can have an in-the-moment view of how your time costs are trending. So this is really the bundle of improvements that we are shipping to projects in the coming new year 2019, and we will keep you posted on how the rollouts are going to go. But this webinar, I wanted to take the opportunity to actually show you a sneak peek of this and get some of your early impressions and feedback. And of course, we'll keep you posted when this is about to start rolling out.